So I tried out the new Photoshop Beta Generative Fill feature, and holy moly, it is absolutely wild what it can do now, and I can only imagine where this feature is going to be in 6 to 12 months time. Now, keeping in mind this feature is still in beta phase, so you cannot use it for commercial use, but it is designed for commercial use. So once we're out of beta phase, we can all go ham on it. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I have and would use it in my commercial work. I would love to get your opinion. What do you think about Photoshop Beta's new generative fill feature? Do you think that this is a good thing, or do you think it's a bad thing? Now, I've seen people use it to basically create a product photo from scratch. So they've got an image of their product on a flat surface, and they've been able to generate an entire new background that looks really realistic. So I'm interested to see how eventually this will impact the industry and people's just overall creativity, that maybe they'll be doing more inside AI than actual shooting. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment, let's have a chat. But let's dive in and I'll show you some simple ways that I've been using it in my work. Now, the way that you access Photoshop Beta is you need to go into your Creative Cloud app, and then on the left-hand side here under categories, you will find beta apps. So this is where you're gonna find it, Photoshop Beta. Just go install and it's ready to go. So for this photo here, what I want to do is actually replace these berries with AI generative berries. So these were shot in real life, but I want to know, can Photoshop Beta regenerate these berries and make it look still natural and realistic? Let's have a look. So the first thing that I do is I grab my elliptical marquee tool, and I'm just going to draw my selection here. So this is where the object is going to generate. So let's go generative fill, and I'm gonna say add a juicy blackberry, and let's see what happens. Okay, so that's looking not too bad. Let's move through some variations. And this is what I like, is that it gives you some different variations to go on. That's not bad either. I think this one is probably my favorite, but we can actually do it again. You can also use this little section over here to add in your prompts. So I'm gonna go generate one more time, just to see if there are any other variations that I like that it's gonna spit out. Okay, so here are our variations. That's not too bad. That's not really what we want. Now, there was one that I actually generated before this, so I'm gonna use that one because it is my favorite so far. So the one that I generated previously, let me just undo this. Okay, and so this is the one that I generated previously. I thought this one looked really nice, and I would be happy to add this to my photo. Now, let's do the same thing for the blueberry and the raspberry. So if we go up here, I'm gonna make it add my selection there. Add a juicy blueberry. Okay, and now we can go through our variations. I think this one looks pretty realistic, but let's generate one more time and see if any other options come up. Okay, that one's not bad either. Also that one. I think this one's my favorite. Okay, I'm gonna use this one. So I'm going to press Command T and resize this. Bring it down, might just rotate it. And then this is where it's gonna go. So I wanna bring it behind that sachet. All the way down here. Oh, we're gonna turn off our original one. And then what I'm gonna do is just remove this little bit of an outline. Like so. Move it behind a little bit more. Now it is a little bit too it's a bit too vibrant for my liking, so I think I'm gonna add a hue saturation layer. Just decrease that saturation a tad, and I'm gonna move that blue a little bit as well. So that's the thing, you can also amend the object once you've generated it because it becomes its own layer. Okay, cool. That's looking pretty good. And now we want to add the raspberry, so let's do that. Okay, so let's have a look through these. That one I'm not really sure about. Maybe not that one. Maybe not that one. So let's generate again. Okay, let's have a look through these. Sometimes I do find this a little bit hit and miss. That one's not bad. Okay, I think I'm gonna use one that I have previously generated because I like that much better than this one. So the one that I previously generated, let me turn off the original, was this one here. I thought this was perfect. I was really happy with the placement, and all I've done is pop that behind the box there. Now again, I think it's like a little bit too vibrant in its red, so I think I might just decrease that saturation a touch and our lightness. Actually, there's probably good. That's not bad. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with how real it can create natural ingredients. I would be personally more than happy to include these little assets in my photo, because if you're looking at something like this on social media as well, you would barely even notice the difference unless I told you that these were AI generated. So let's have a look at the before and after. Come behind the scenes on a super popular style of product photo your clients are going to love, called the shelfie. In this free photography masterclass, I am walking you through my lighting setup, camera settings, styling tips, and I'm going to be sharing with you my top 7 tips for booking clients consistently as a product photographer. After the training, you'll immediately be able to implement these techniques into your own business. I cannot wait to see you there. Okay, let's move on to the remove object tool. Now, for this photo, my client was like, hey, do you have a photo that has another milkshake glass in replacement of this? And I'm like, no, I don't, but I can Photoshop it in for you. So it's like, okay, what is the easiest way to remove this so that it actually looks somewhat natural and I can easily Photoshop in another glass? So let me show you. Over on the left hand side here, we have the remove tool. And essentially all you do is brush over your object that you want to remove, and we just watch the magic happen. Oh my goodness. So obviously, you know, we have a few issues, but the fact that it has basically removed this entire glass, and all I have to do is now Photoshop in my other glass to this photo, all these other little bits and pieces can be easily fixed up with retouching. Now, before this feature, I guess the way that I would have removed this glass would have been using the clone stamp tool, which would be very finicky. But the fact that if I do this, and it literally keeps things pretty much well intact in the area around it. I mean, look at that packaging. It's gonna make it so much easier for me to just remove this object using the AI feature and then putting in my new object that I wanna be in the frame. So let's have a look at the final photo. So here is another example of using generative fill feature to add objects that I may want to add in post-production. So let's say that I want to add a scoop of ice cream to this image, make it a little bit more delicious and visually appealing. Now the first thing that I did was I actually added this straw. This was from a different photo, so this is actually not AI generated, but I do think it adds to the photo. So I want to add a scoop of vanilla ice cream. So I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to go generative fill, add a scoop of vanilla ice cream and go generate. Let's see what happens. Okay, that is pretty wild because that looks quite realistic. I'm going to go generate again just to see what else comes up. Wow, that is really cool. Oh my goodness. I actually really love this one, and something that you'll notice that Photoshop Beta does is it kind of mimics the lighting of your photo and it applies it to the object that you're generating. So I want to now move this, like I want to put it like right here. So I'm just gonna kind of rotate that a little bit. Now, obviously, I just have to mask this stuff. I'm gonna take my brush tool and we're just gonna mask around the glass and the prop here to make it look like it's actually sitting like on the ledge. So where's my edge here? It's about there. That looks good. Just mask that little bit back in. Really get down to the nitty-gritty. Clean that up. Like so. Oh. Oh my God. Can we just take a moment? And of course, like if you wanted to edit that any further, you absolutely can. If I wanted to make this part of the ice cream scoop a little bit brighter, I can do that with adjustment layers. But holy moly, let's just take that away and let's put it back. And this scoop still looks realistic. And it looks way better than probably something I would have captured in real life because ice cream melts just so damn fast when you're on set. All right, let's move on to a different application. So for this photo here, I want to add some stars to my background because this is a nighttime product. We've got these nighttime vibes, but I just want to like spice it up a little bit. So let's see what happens. Now, the first thing that we need to do is select our subject, and you can see Photoshop does a really good job of it. Just need to grab my, here we go, selection tool, fill those parts in. And then we want to hit invert because I want to fill in the space around her. And I'm going to go generative fill. And we're gonna say, add some small twinkling, real looking stars like in the night sky. Let's go generate and see what happens. Okay, so this one's a little bit much. Let's go to the next one. Okay, not so bad. This is definitely a no from me. I'm gonna generate this again. Okay, I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess. That's a big no, and this is a big no. Now, obviously Photoshop Beta will generate different things even if you put the same prompt in. So I actually generated this the other day and I'll show you what came up. So let me just undo this layer here. And we're coming up to this one. So I have this on a blending mode, so let me show you the normal one. This is what it came up for me originally. Now, don't mind the outline of her body, but I thought this was really nice and realistic. Some of the other ones came up like these, which was a big no-no for me, but this was the one. So I just changed my blending mode to screen and lowered my opacity, and that's given it like a really soft twinkling star look, which I think is kind of cool. So I think when you're generating objects like this, you might have to do it a few times to see what else comes up. And obviously Photoshop Beta will generate something different every single time, even if it's the same prompt. Okay, now the next thing that I want to show you is how to use the generative fill feature to extend your backgrounds. So let's say for this image here, I wanted to extend the background towards the left because maybe they want to use this as a banner image for their website and they want the model more on the right-hand side. So we actually ran out of fabric to really extend this scene in real life. So let's see what Photoshop can do. So I'm going to grab my crop tool here first. You just have to make sure that you have delete cropped pixels unchecked. I'm going to hit Command on my keyboard. Oh, and I'm just going to pull it out this way. I think that should be enough. Go OK, return. I'm going to grab my rectangular marquee tool, select, and I'm going to go a little bit, maybe like this much into the photo so that it knows what it needs to extend. We're going to go generative fill, leave it blank, generate, and let's see what happens. Okay, so it's actually like created a different human being, which is really freaking weird. But let's go to the next one. Okay, that looks way better. As you can see, I think Photoshop's still like working out their shit. I mean, I like this little part here and this, but that is just so weird. So this one looks like it's gonna be a winner. I think this little part here can just get fixed up. So let's just see. We go generative fill, generate. Okay, so that's fixed that. So if we come back down to the original image, that's what we started with. And this is the extended background. So with things like fabric, I think it's done a really good job to extend this more to the left. I'd be pretty happy with this. But it is so crazy that it actually generated that. I don't even know what this is. So let's say that I wanted to extend this background here. I'm gonna go to my crop tool, extend it this way, go okay, do the same thing. I'll just go that much in. Generative fill, generate, let's see what happens. Okay, and that has literally extended my backdrop for me again. We've got a couple of different variations here, but that was just so freaking easy. I think this one's the best. It's got a really nice smooth transition, and it's also extended that little gradient towards the left as well. Okay, so I thought I would show you one last application, and this is actually to personal branding photos. So obviously this is me, but I want to extend this background to make it a square crop. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna extend my crop. I'm gonna go, I think out like that. That's good. Maybe a little bit there. Now this is quite a complicated background, so I'm interested to see how does Photoshop deal with this. So I'm just going to hit return, and now we need to select our blank space. So I'm going to do that, hit option, because we're going to take away the photo, but we're just going to leave a little bit of space so that it knows what it needs to extend. So we're going to hit generative fill, just go generate, and let's see what happens. I'm actually speechless. I don't know what this is. Is that in the original photo? Oh, it's just a plant. Like, that is probably the only weirdest part of the image, but other than that, this has done an insane job of extending this background. Let's take a look at a different version. No, not that one. That's a little bit weird, but this is like, wow. Okay, let's try another one. Let's do this one. I'm interested to see if it can do anything with this. Again, we're going to extend our crop, put me right in the middle. Go enter, select the part that we want to fill, and then we just do that. Generative fill, let's go. Okay, that's a little weird. Let's go to the second very, oh my God. What is that? This is creepy. Okay. So this one didn't work. This one did not work. I mean, this is really creepy. That freaks me out. Look, I'm still impressed by this one. I am not impressed by this one. We can actually go generate again. Let's see if it gives us anything else that we can possibly work with. Okay, that isn't bad. The chair looks a little wonky. Maybe we could blur the background a little bit if I did want to keep it. I mean, it's done a really good job of the floor though. That I am impressed by. What else have we got here? No. Well, okay. This is a no from me. This is the closest version, but anyway, that was a fun little experiment. but I'm very impressed with this photo. I would actually use this photo. Now, if you haven't yet, go and check out my other video I did where I used Midjourney to create a product photo. That was definitely a process. But I hope you enjoyed this video, you found it helpful, and I'm actually excited for this to come out of beta phase and for us to be able to use this commercially.